What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Too Good for Theaters video. Today, we're going to be breaking down the New England Patriots' first third-round pick, 69th overall, Washington State's wide receiver, Kyle Willams. So let's get right into it. With the 69th overall selection, the New England Patriots select Kyle Willams, Washington State wide receiver. And this was someone who I had mocked to the Patriots on several of my mock drafts, as well as did an entire other video kind of breaking down him as a prospect. So if you're interested in that, I'll tag it in the comments below. But I think that this is a great fit for the Patriots just because of his playmaking ability. And if you notice something through the first two selections for the Patriots, they're getting explosive players with good speed who were extremely productive in their programs. And Kyle Willams is one of the better quote-unquote playmakers in this draft in terms of the yards after the catch, which, as we know as Patriots fans, some of these smaller wide receivers really have thrived here in this system. Of course, under Josh McDaniels, you could mention guys like Danny Amendola, Julian Edelman, Wes Welker. Kyle Willams has that type of prototype as someone who can really dominate games with yards after the catch. He had 21 missed tackles alone in his most previous season here. And this is someone who can thrive in New England just because of his route tree. He has the speed and the shiftiness to really thrive either in the slot or on the outside. Not necessarily your jump ball type target. He's going to beat someone with speed on the outside, but he does have the shiftiness to really use the entirety of the route tree. And this is the type of player that Drake May should be able to have a field day with if he establishes a very good chemistry with Kyle Willams here, just because he can work all portions of the field, whether it's the short game, getting open through quickness, or the long game through downfield speed. Of course, we know how Drake May kind of likes to make that throw up the sideline on the right side. And that's a route that Kyle Willams is going to be able to really utilize here with his speed. And when you have a guy like Stephon Diggs playing in front of Kyle Willams right now, that's kind of the perfect wide receiver to really learn from if you are Kyle Willams, just because of what Stephon Diggs is as a wide receiver. He's not the greatest at deep threat, but he's one of the best route runners in the game. And being able to learn from that on the sideline and watching that every day at practice is certainly going to be influential in how Kyle Willams is going to be able to learn his routes through his timing and patience and his deliberacy to really fool some of these defensive backs. And when he gets open, he has the ability to do damage with his yards after the catch numbers here. And you're not looking for a contested catch guy on the boundaries here, but I will give Kyle Willams credit. He is tough across the middle, and that's really where you're going to see the majority of his contested catches. Like I said before, not the biggest of individuals, only 6 feet in height, 186 in terms of weight. So not really your boundary X wide receiver. But on the throws across the middle, I mean, he has a pretty solid contested catch rate for his size, that being around 62.5%, 10 of 16 in contested catch scenarios. So this is someone who will take some hits across the middle of the field. And when you develop that ability and develop that trust with your quarterback, that really opens up the entirety of the offense here for Kyle Willams. And if he's able to hit that with Drake May, then he really has the potential to remind you a lot of these great slot receivers that have passed through the doors here in New England. Taking a look into Kyle Willams' college statistics here, however, in the 2024 campaign, he played in 13 grades. He had an overall offensive grade of 79.9, a receiving grade of 82.1, and a run block grade of 54.1. He was targeted 101 times and came up with a total of 70 receptions for a reception rate of around 69%, same as his overall draft position number. So that's pretty interesting right there. Came up with 1,196 yards, averaged around 17 yards per reception, came up with 14 touchdowns. So he was certainly a playmaker for that Cougar offense. Like I said before, 10 of 16 on contested catch scenario, 62.5%. He had 5 drops on the year for a drop rate of around 6.7%. He averaged around 8.4 yards per reception with yards after the catch. So like I said before, kind of in my other video about Kyle Willams, he's probably the best yards after the catch receiver in this draft outside of Travis Hunter. So that's certainly an element that will translate well to New England. And really, I see that as the foundation of his game and why he'd be such a great fit here for the Patriots. He averaged around 2.7 yards per route run, had an average depth of target of around 11.5 yards, and he did fumble once. And taking a look at his snaps by alignment, he took around 582 snaps out wide compared to 186 slot snaps. So Washington State really used him more so as a boundary receiver. However, I do see him fitting more so in the slot type role here in New England, Maybe a guy like Demario Douglas might lose a little bit of playing time to a guy like Kyle Williams, but he's certainly someone who can show some versatility in the offense. But I think his skill set will best be suited, particularly for this offense in the slot. And hopefully the New England Patriots are going to get the best out of Kyle Williams to really have him continue to be one of those playmaking receivers here for the Patriots. All right, everyone. That's going to wrap up this video here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on what your opinion is of Kyle Williams and whether or not you think he'll be a good fit here for the Patriots. And hopefully I'll check you all out in the next one.